Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Absolutely Podcast, the podcast specifically designed to help women defeat diet culture and live their dream healthy lifestyle. If you are watching today's episode on video, you are being blessed by my new podcast setup. I am so proud of it. I have a mic stand, I have a computer stand, better camera quality. So if you're not already watching video, I love watching a video podcast when I'm on the treadmill or cleaning or just like throwing it on while I'm eating lunch or whatever. I decided I needed to up level this. And especially since I have an office in my house now and I have room to be able to create and do some fun things, I had this set up. It is not done yet. I will say disclaimer. Need to get some art to go to the left side of my body or right side, whatever side it's on once it converts. But I am really excited about this setup. So I thought I would mention that if you're not currently a video viewer and you're audio only, if you're audio only, that's fine as well. I love all of the people that are listening to this message. And today I'm actually pre-recording a couple of podcasts because I am going to be in Mexico by the time that you are listening to this on a little family vacation, which I am very thrilled about. But when I was looking at my schedule, I realized that there was a couple of weeks that I needed to have some podcast content ready to go, especially because it is New Year's season. People are going to be wondering how to start the year off right and want to start off the year motivated and excited for their health and fitness goals. So I am going to skip my segment of my high and low of the week that I typically do just because I am pre-recording and I can't tell the future, unfortunately. And I'm going to skip my favorite of the week because same thing. I can't tell the future with that. I probably could think of some sort of favorite, but today I'm just going to hop right into the podcast episode. And this one is a very important one because I am going to be sharing with you your 2026 fat loss blueprint. And this is for you if you have felt like fat loss in the past has just been this cycle of starting in January, quitting in February, and then the rest of the year is just kind of this disaster zone. And maybe in January, you initially have a ton of motivation and you're really excited and ready to go. And then once February hits, or hey, even 2 weeks into January, you're throwing in the towel and just saying, like, okay, maybe it's just not my year, or I'll pick it up again in February. I'll pick it up again before summer. I'll pick it up again. I'm sure that you have said this to yourself at some point. So, just a disclaimer, like, this is not a 30-day reset or a 30-day shred. Like, this is going to be a blueprint to set the rest of your year up for success. I am not the podcast host or the coach that's going to tell you to go to extremes January 1st. I actually think that going to extremes is the exact reason why you're listening to this episode and why you are put in this position, because extremes when it comes to health and fitness are not going to produce the results you want. And the strategy I'm going to be laying out for you today is something completely different than maybe you've heard in the past or that you've tried in the past. And that is, the goal is to do something different and to actually end 2026 being the healthiest, fittest, happiest version of yourself. And so we're going to be going over that blueprint for you today. And we're going to be focusing on habits, system, sustainability. And the goal is to have fat loss that lasts after February or even just lasts in general through January. And so I have been able to help so many people throughout the years be able to achieve their health and fitness goals. Honestly, 400 plus counting at this point. I've honestly lost track because so many women have come to me and wanted to get to their health and fitness goals. And what I've learned is that no matter the time of year, there's never going to be a perfect time, whether you think that January is the perfect time or you think it's just kind of a very cliche time of the year to start your health and fitness goals. You can apply this no matter where you're at in the year. I promise you, with my sustainable approach that I teach each and every one of my clients in my metabolic makeover program, and giving you a little bit of a sneak peek of what we are going to be doing with the clients that are going to be joining my program before January 1st. I really firmly believe that you'll be able to get to your health and fitness goals by the end of the year. Speaking of, just because I am going to be traveling and out of town and stuff, by the time that you listen to this, it'll be December 30th. I only have 2 spots available for my program starting on January 1st. So if you do want to snag one of those spots, now is the time to do that, just because I want to make sure I'm able to enjoy myself and margaritas on the beach, right? Okay, let's talk first about why most fat loss plans fail in January. And I think a lot of us can relate to this cycle. I'm going to just say a couple things, and I'm sure that you'll be nodding your head. You have probably started out in January doing too much too soon. I'm talking about going from I haven't worked out in the past month, 2 months, 3 months, past 6 months. I am going to start a crazy fitness plan. I am going to start doing HIIT cardio classes. I'm going to start up with Orange Theory. I'm going to do every burn boot camp known to man. I'm going to start running. I'm going to take up running. I'm going to run every single day. I'm not sure if that sounds familiar to you at all, or maybe you're saying to yourself, okay, January 1st, I'm cutting out all carbs. I'm not drinking. I'm doing dry January. I'm not having anything processed. I am tracking my macros perfectly. I'm hitting 1,200 calories. I'm doing something that in December, I have probably let things kind of go off the rails. I was eating whatever I want. Hey, maybe it wasn't just December. Maybe you had been going off the rails the entire year. So now I'm going to completely flip my life on its side and decide to do something very, very extreme. And of course, that is going to be something that is fleeting. And we're going to talk about a replacement for this extreme habits that haven't worked in the past. And I think in the moment we think to ourselves, okay, this is a great idea. And then that great idea definitely starts to dwindle as the weeks go on in the year. And you realize, I feel miserable. I am now going back to old ways, gaining the weight back. And there's a reason for that. And we're going to talk about the replacement there. Also, relying on motivation instead of systems. I'm going to be really making sure by the end of this episode, you have systems in place that are fail proof systems. Motivation is going to come and go. Motivation is going to perhaps come and go by January 5th, to be honest. That is I think statistically, after 10 days, most people have already quit their health and fitness goals for the year, and they have decided it's just another year where they're quitting. The reason for that is that they don't have the systems in place that are fail proof. And so we're going to be coming up with those fail proof systems for you today. And then also just not knowing how to track progress. I think the scale is a big reason why a lot of people quit really soon into January, is because they hop on the scale maybe on January 4th and they still haven't lost a pound. And they're like, well, I must just not know what to do. I must just be broken. My hormones are XYZ. I'm going to go and deal with that instead. And then they end up quitting their goals. And that is a huge reason we're going to be talking about today, how to have behavior consistency over being scale obsessed, and also how to use the scale as a tool, but also other progress measurements that are a lot more successful and a lot more sustainable year round for you. So instead of another short-term plan, let's talk about the blueprint of how we are going to get there. So I broke this down into 3 pillars for your 2026 fat loss blueprint. So first of all, we are going to start up with a very sustainable fitness routine. In the past, if you have done something really extreme, like, hey, I'm going to go from not doing anything to running every single day or signing up for some crazy workout classes, I literally just want to get you consistent on strength training 3 times per week. And I say strength train specifically and not doing cardio or not doing other things, because strength training, the best time to start growing a tree is today. The same thing applies with your strength training. Muscle takes time to build. And when you build muscle, you actually boost your metabolism. Obviously, a ton of different health benefits as well when it comes to building muscle. So building muscle and starting ASAP is really important for all of those things that I talked about, plus more. So I want you to start out by committing to 3 strength training sessions per week. This doesn't need to be crazy. This can be literally 3 30 to 45-minute strength training sessions. And I want you to prioritize compound and or full body movements. There are obviously a ton of different strength training focus apps that you can use. I also have workouts, of course, in my program offered. And if you want to DM me, I'll send you over just like some workout blueprints that are Coach Abby approved. And also too, I don't think necessarily cardio is the enemy either. I think that cardio can for sure be used as a tool, but I don't want you to make it as the foundation of your fitness routine, at least in January. I want you to start out by building that foundation of 3 45-minute strength training sessions per week. And then maybe in February, we can make that tweak and change to add in maybe some extra cardio or whatever. But if you can strength train every single week for 3 sessions a week, you will be ahead of 100% of people, maybe not 100, 95% of people. The reason for that is that a lot of people, when they start out for the new year, they're really just right out of the gate working out 6, 7 days out of the week, and they burn out 2 weeks in. Whereas someone that focuses on 3 strength training sessions a week, perhaps, they're not burning out and they're able to have a way more sustainable plan. And they're actually building a system and a routine in place to actually see the results that they want to see long term. So, pillar 2 is going to be nutrition. And of course, when it comes to nutrition, there are so many nuances and things. This is going to be kind of a blanket overview for everyone. Of course, if someone entered into my program, they would get a lot more targeted approach based on their metabolism and hormones and all of this stuff. But I think if you're starting from ground zero, this is a great place to start. And even if you're not starting with ground zero and you just want to start with a little bit of a reset, I think this is a great thing to focus on, and just like a couple tips, tricks, and habits. So the number one thing I want you to focus on this month is protein. Protein should be the anchor in every single one of your meals. I do not want you to have a meal or a snack that does not have protein in it. The reason for this is that protein really stays in your body, and your body takes a lot of energy to break protein down. Therefore, it keeps you fuller for longer. Of course, it balances your blood sugar. It's great for building muscle. And you'll definitely see fat loss benefits when it comes to eating more protein, especially when you're having protein at every single meal and snack, because your body is going to be staying fuller for longer and your blood sugar is going to be way, way better managed. So you're going to see really great results from that. Another thing that we can start doing is just being aware of calories. I don't necessarily think you need to track to a T. Sure, I think tracking can be a great tool as a form of accountability, but I think when you're first getting started, and maybe not getting started with like a coach or something like that that has a targeted plan for you, because I've seen a lot of bad calorie plans over my years. I'll just say that. But calorie awareness is a great thing to start out with. And you kind of know when you're overdoing it versus when you're not. And I think that having protein as the anchor is a really great place to start. And then just overall being a little bit more aware of your hunger and fullness cues, and starting to look at labels, starting to look at things when it comes to maybe nutrition facts on a restaurant menu, or when you are pouring yourself a serving of cereal, like how much are you pouring for yourself? I think that just overall looking at your nutrition just at face value and saying like, okay, what does this actually consist of? I think that's really important. I think a lot of people get really overwhelmed and nervous about nutrition. And I was giving this example actually to a client the other day, that they were nervous to step on the scale. This kind of is similar to nutrition, where I think a lot of people just get nervous to like check the nutrition facts because they don't want to look it in the face of like, oh, I didn't realize I was eating this much. And I think that by just taking away that emotional aspect of it and knowing that this is simply just a data point is really helpful. And so I totally recommend maybe just starting to track your food, not necessarily trying to hit a calorie goal, but doing it just for the aspect of like learning what calories you're consuming, what is in your every single day cereal. I can't even tell you how many times a client has come to me and been like, I did not realize my Starbucks beverage I have been getting every single morning for the past year and a half is 400 calories. Like, there's a lot of things that you just have no awareness around until you look it in the face and you actually educate yourself on those items. And then the last thing that we can focus on doing is trying to incorporate more whole foods into your diet. So if you're someone right now that is eating all processed foods or mostly processed foods, a good way to start with this would be to start focusing on protein, having a protein whole food source, maybe a few times per day, and then also swapping some of those processed things for less processed things. So, for instance, maybe if you're having chips with your sandwich at lunch, instead of having chips, have a banana or have a tangerine or have an apple. Have something that is a whole food swap. Again, we're going for sustainability here, and we're not going to change your whole diet in a day. Like, continue to have the sandwich, but just swap the side. Or maybe for dinner, if you like to have a microwaved meal, there's of course nothing wrong with that from time to time, but a good thing would be to maybe meal prep that one meal for the week. I think that that is a really great way to look at it, is slowly but surely changing the items you're having, one by one or meal by meal, where you get to the end of the month and perhaps maybe every week you focus on a new thing. So maybe week one, you're focusing on transitioning the chips into a fruit. Maybe week two, you're focusing on having your coffee at home instead of going to Starbucks every single day. Maybe week three, you're focusing on eating out 3 times per week instead of 7 days per week, right? These small things that are going to accrue throughout your month are going to make the biggest difference. And to be honest, like consistency 80% of the time is going to be what produces the best results. We do not need to be focusing on how can I be perfect 100% of the time. That is a recipe to quitting 10 days into January. We need to focus on how can I be okay with the B plus range and excited about the results I'm seeing with that, rather how can I be completely perfect this entire month. That is not realistic or sustainable or something you're going to see results from. So pillar number 3 is going to be mostly focused on lifestyle, stress management, and recovery habits, because fat loss, to be honest, and muscle gain happens outside of the gym. A lot of people get so fixated on the sexy stuff when it comes to health and fitness, like my diet and my workouts and how hard I'm pushing in the gym. But when it comes to recovery, that is a really big pillar on if you're not recovering, you're probably not going to see the best results that you can. And if you're not focusing on stress management, your body is not going to be optimized to lose body fat or to gain muscle. And so sleep and stress are going to be huge when it comes to regulating your fat loss hormones. You have got to make sure you're getting at least 7 hours of sleep per night in order to get optimal results with fat loss. I've even had clients that the only thing we change is starting to sleep more and starting to recover more and actually take more rest days. And they start to see fabulous results from that one change alone. And so I definitely recommend making sleep a huge priority in the month of January. Honestly, that one thing I think is so important. And I think a lot of people don't value sleep as much as they should, and they don't recognize how much of a fat loss tool it is. And then also another just lifestyle habit is going to be steps and daily movement. This is called TDEE, so your total daily energy expenditure. Of course, part of that is going to be your workouts, but if you are working out every single day and then outside of that, you're sitting on the couch, you're sitting in your office chair. I like to call those people active couch potatoes because yes, they're getting up and moving, which is better than nothing, but they're staying very sedentary the entire rest of the day after that. And so that would be someone that I definitely recommend maybe taking a 10-minute walk after every meal if possible, or getting a walking pad, or just doing small things to get up and get moving throughout the day in their office. Maybe walk to the water fountain or walk to the bathroom or take the stairs instead of the elevator. All of those little things are going to add up for sure. And when it comes to just being less stressed and stuff, of course, like going to extremes is only going to make you more burned out quicker. And when it comes to being super stressed, maybe the start of the year because you're maybe starting a new job, or the year obviously starts over, so there's the stresses that come with that. When you're also adding your fitness routine on top of it, if you're not focusing on stress management, taking 5 minutes throughout every day to be able to just decompress and relax, your body and your hormones are going to be really stressed out and cause you to really maintain and keep on that extra body fat that you don't want. So focusing on stress management is going to be very important for that. So let's talk now about why January is just kind of like a trap when it comes to marketing, especially when it comes to your health and fitness goals. And I think that the intensity with just going so hard at the beginning of the month and then really fizzling out within the first, 5 to 10 days, a lot of people do that because they struggle with the all or nothing mentality. And most, if not all of my clients have struggled with the all or nothing mentality to some extent, meaning you're either all in on your fitness journey versus all out. January 1st, for a lot of people, it attracts the all or nothing gals. It attracts the people that like to be either all in or all out. And so that's something I really want you to think about mindset wise in the past of, is that something you can definitely relate to, of feeling like you need to be 100% or you're 0%. Trust me, more people are like this than not. And I have even struggled with this for sure to some extent. And so that is just something to learn about yourself and to then be able to coach and deal with it and know when maybe you're struggling with being either all in or all out, and to kind of recognize that. And I kind of like to view it as like that angel and devil on the shoulder of one, the devil on your shoulders, kind of that all or nothing, like, okay, you need to be perfect or you're completely off track. And then the angel on the other hand would be like, you're doing awesome. 80% consistency is fine. Be okay with the B plus range. I want you to listen to that voice. And I want you to recognize when you're having those all or nothing thoughts, because I think it's so funny when clients come to me and they're like, oh my gosh, in the past, I would have been so all or nothing with this. I would have gone on this trip and then came back and just completely been just not compliant because I had a couple of bad days. Like, just because you have a bad day or a bad week, we need to get right back on track. In January, let's say maybe the first 7 days, you're awesome. You're getting your workouts in, you're tracking your calories, you're having your protein, things are going amazing. And then you have a birthday party and you maybe come home and you accidentally somehow stumble upon a pizza that happens to be in your house and you have a couple slices. And then in your head, you kind of go, well, I already gave up on my goals because I had this one night that was maybe a little bit bad. I'm just going to throw in the towel and just like not do it for the rest of January. Like, even me saying that, it probably sounds really stupid, but I am sure if you're listening to this episode, you've been there at some point. And so what I want you to do is challenge those thoughts, recognize when they come up and say, no, I'm going to break the chain. I have the power to choose tomorrow to get right back on track. And so again, that's part of the 80% adherence. We're not focusing on being 100% perfect the month of January. We're purely focusing on being 80% adherent. And if you're 80% adherent, I promise you'll see results. Literally every client testimonial I have posted on my page, they're in the 80 to 90% range. No one is perfect. And if someone is perfect, I literally tell them, hey, let's loosen up a little bit, because what happens when you're perfect for too long is you have burnout. And you don't want burnout. You want to be able to have a lifestyle and enjoy yourself, enjoy your friends, enjoy your family, and not like feel like fitness is subtracting from your life, because that's what creates this unsustainability in your life. So your first 30 days, let's talk about a simple action plan on what you're going to do in these first 30 days. So week 1, we are going to be laying the foundation. Week 1 is going to feel weird because we're still adopting new habits. We're not going from 0 to 100, but adopting new habits is weird, and taking that change and needing to do different things and accommodate different workouts in your schedule, like that's hard, and eating different foods. So your body is going to be adjusting this first week. But what I want you to do on December 31st is I want you to pick workout days of the workout days that are going to work best for your schedule. Don't pick a day that you know you're probably going to miss. Like, let's say your child has after school acting classes. I don't know why I said acting classes, but I did. Acting classes on Tuesday. And you know that those take, a few hours, and you probably won't be able to get to the gym that day. Don't choose Tuesday as your workout day. Do not set yourself up to fail. I want you to go into your calendar and actually pick out 3 days that you can work out, put it on your calendar, and I want you to deliver on those days like you would be meeting a friend for coffee. Like, you wouldn't just bail on that friend for coffee. So don't bail on yourself. So I want you to pick those days. I want you to come up with a few protein sources that you're always going to have on hand. So whether that is in your pantry, in your freezer, in your fridge, I want you to have 3 protein sources that are always there. I personally always have egg whites. I always have things in my freezer like chicken sausages, shrimp. I always have protein powder in my pantry, chomp sticks, hard-boiled eggs. If you have these things in your house already, you are not going to be set up to fail. And then the next one is I want you to start focusing on daily movement and just being more aware of your habits around your fitness and your nutrition. So again, I'm not saying, hey, we need to start hitting 10K steps, but start noticing to yourself, like, am I super freaking sedentary? Am I choosing very unhealthy meals? Did I realize that my Starbucks drink was 500 calories a morning? I want you to just become more aware on week 1. Week 2 is where we're building the foundation on top of what we have kind of realized in that first week. So we're going to be adding progression to the workouts. Week 1, you might be sore. and that's okay. You should be sore. But this next week, we can start to push ourselves. We can start to push ourselves in these lifts. We can tighten your nutrition structure ever so slightly. Maybe if we're having protein on each meal week 1, great. This is where we maybe start to incorporate some of those whole foods, or start to eat out less, or start to maybe meal prep 1 meal for the week. Again, sustainability is key. And I know a lot of people listen to sustainability and it goes one in one ear and out the other, because they're like, that will make a difference for me. I need to be 100, 0 to 100. How's that worked out for you? Not great. When you start focusing on these little micro changes, you're actually going to see the results. So those are the things I want you to do in the first 3 weeks. Week 4 is where we're going to assess if the plan is working and any sort of gaps that we may need to change. So we're going to review habits in our head or on paper and review, okay, what's going well, what's maybe not going well. So when I am doing a client check-in, I'm doing all of this for my client. So it makes it easy because you don't need to really do any sort of self-evaluation when you have a coach. That's the beauty of it. But for yourself, what you can kind of establish is, how am I feeling in these areas? How am I feeling digestion-wise? How am I feeling sleep-wise? How am I feeling energy-wise? How am I feeling hunger-wise? And then also just kind of writing down any sort of like non-scale victories. So kind of get those out on the paper. And then when I want you to also write down, what were my barriers or my things that I feel like I need to improve on? So writing those things down. And then from there, what you can do is look at the things that you see need improvement. So let's say your sleep, you rated it a 3 out of 5, or you're like, okay, I've been getting like 6 hours of sleep. That would be an easy to do to start to implement in February. I would pick maybe 2 to 3 things to improve on for the next month. Another thing, let's say your digestion hasn't been that great. Maybe you're not going to the bathroom regularly every single day. So a great thing to work on would be having more water or upping your fiber intake. Like a couple of just small micro things that make a huge difference with your quality of life. And then of course, we have to take into consideration too, like, what were your results from the past month? Did you see results? I am sure if you follow this blueprint, you will see results. But we do have to continue to make small tweaks and changes to level up every week and every month to get ahead of your body's natural adaptations. And to be honest, the leaner you get, the more strategic you have to get. And that's okay. That's part of the process. But that's something that we have to assess and be aware of and not beat yourself up for. Be smart with making those small adjustments. So look at your weigh-ins from the month. I personally love weighing in 3 to 5 times per week to make sure I understand the highs and the lows of the week. If you're weighing in once per week, it really doesn't give you the full picture on what you need to tweak or change to be able to see results. So weighing in 3 to 5 times per week, I think, is a great amount to do. In addition to weigh-ins, this is very important, and you might not want to do this on January 1st, but I promise you'll thank me. Progress pictures. Progress pictures will really help you to know if you're making change, because especially when you start weight training, eating more protein, your body composition might really change. You might start needing new pants because your pants are too big. You might start wearing different dress sizes, but perhaps the scale might not change a whole ton. So what I want you to do is make sure we are doing progress pictures on day 1 in January and then on the last day of January, and using this as part of this assessment for the next month. And let's say, just hypothetically, you didn't see any results on this scale. What I want you to do, step 2, go to your progress pictures. Did you see results in your progress pictures? If the answer is yes, keep on the path. You're doing great. I know it's so hard. We've been conditioned as women to see scale weight loss, but sometimes you're losing body fat and you're gaining muscle at the same time, and you look better, you feel better, you feel tighter, you feel more toned. So who the freak cares what the scale says at the end of the day, right? So that's what I want you to do. Let's say you are losing weight. Great. Let's keep up on the same process. Let's say, worst case scenario, which I really don't think anyone will be a part of this population, maybe 1%. There's so many people that come to me and they're like, well, I'm that special snowflake that just doesn't see results. More times than not, you're not special. You're just doing the wrong thing. Nicest way possible. But if you are that special snowflake that I see every so often, rarely, and you're not seeing results from either of these 2 things, we probably need to make a change in the strategy, which is totally normal, totally okay. And usually it is just tightening things up nutrition wise a little bit more. So what I want you to do is perhaps start tracking your calories or getting a little bit more dialed in with your nutrition with adding in more whole foods. That will really help. being real with yourself too on like, am I really being 80 to 90% consistent, or is it more so looking like 70-30 or 60-40? Sometimes you need someone to call you out, and sometimes that person is Coach Abby, sometimes that person is yourself. And so that's where you would have to call yourself out and say, okay, I need to tighten this up for February. The great thing is that it's not like it's a month lost. Like, you discovered a lot about yourself, you built a lot of great parts of your routine, and now we just need to level up a little bit further to see some more results. But the good thing is that I guarantee you've built muscle, you've built a routine, and you've already really helped your health out, which obviously is great for balancing your hormones and stuff. So it will make fat loss that much easier. But of course, if you get to the end of the month and you're like, I am so freaking lost, I don't know what to do, that would honestly be a great point to reach out to someone like me or another trusted health coach or professional that can kind of look at things, because sometimes you just need another second set of eyes. And I mean, I work with women that have a lot of issues with like metabolism and hormones, and I sometimes just need some extra testing or whatever to kind of get you to that next level and to get you out of like this frustrating process of being like, what's wrong with me? Promise you nothing's wrong with you. And if there is something that is a little bit off, there's someone that can actually look at it and be able to devise a plan of how to get you out of there. There's my little spiel on everything. But yeah, that's the fat loss blueprint for 2026. I hope you all enjoyed this episode. I want you to save this episode and re-listen to it even 14 days into January to give yourself another little hype up and remind yourself of some of the things that we chatted about today. But share this with a friend that maybe you are doing your New Year's goals with, or you feel like would benefit from this episode. And I will see you all next week in the new year. Bye.